Jó reggelt kívánok! Hogy vagy? Jó? Oh, goodness gracious. You know, the US military, the Army used to have an expression that said, we do more before 10 o'clock in the morning than most people do all day long. And I, that's something that I was thinking about as I was getting ready to start my morning show. And I'm just not, the lighting in here, I don't know if I'm just that happy with it. Hang on a second. Maybe that's a little bit, maybe that's a little bit better. Maybe I got to turn off the overhead. All right, there you go. Something like that. So anyway, jó reggelt kívánok. Hogy vagy? Hmm. The military does more before, or the Army does more before 10 in the morning than most people do all day. And I guess, these lights are just driving me crazy. Maybe that'll work. All right, that'll work. All right. So anyway, the I don't know that I don't know if I fall under the classification of most people. Probably not. Hmm. But anyway, boy, that's good. I was setting up to do this video this morning, and I found myself thinking of the Mr. Rogers movie that just came out starring Tom Hanks. And I started thinking that just as Mr. Rogers had his sweater, remember? Mr. Rogers, he'd always come in and he'd take off his jacket and he'd put on his sweater. And I think he'd would he put on his sneakers or something like that? I don't know. But maybe my bathrobe is to me in my show what the sweater was to Mr. Rogers. So anyway, hmm. There's a lot on my mind today. There really is. It was another weekend of working, and it was it was a productive weekend. It was a really, really productive weekend. And I woke up this morning at about 4 o'clock, and this wall behind me was all primer. It was all primer. It used to be a purple, and I painted it. I painted it the color you see. It's a gold. It's a goldish color, if you will. And I did that for a couple reasons, and you can try to decide which one was first and foremost. First one was that color was what the color in the kitchen used to be. That used to be the kitchen color. And I had gone out and bought a gallon of paint only to have people tell me, no, it's too dark. You want to lighten it up. You've got windows, lighten it up. And I did. So I went with the yellow, and I had this extra can of paint. And being the frugal guy that I am, I thought that I could use it up here. And then the other reason was, sometime back I heard I Googled what's the best color for a home office? What's the best color for like a home office? And the color the color that I read was that like yellow or gold or some variant of that shade is most conducive for it's most conducive for creative thinking, creativity. And as I was painting this morning, I found myself thinking about that. And in doing so, I remember a phone call that I took back in Budapest in it would have been 1998 or 1999. And it was a phone call from a guy named Jim Stein, Stein, Jim Stein. Jim Stein had started a company that's still running to this day called Diamond Certified. If you just search Diamond Certified San Francisco, you'll see that this website. So Jim Stein had this company that would go out and they would rate they would rate businesses, mostly service businesses. They would rate service related businesses and give them like a diamond certified rating. And they could put a little thing in their window saying we're diamond certified. And to his credit, the business has made him untold millions, I would imagine. But I was over in Budapest and Jim emailed me. And he sent me an email and asked if he could give me a call. So I arranged to give him a call. I was living on, for those of you familiar with Budapest, I was living in Pest on Haller utca, Haller, Haller utca. And I was living in a kicsi lakás, which is a little condo at the time. Couldn't have been more than 900 square feet. And I took the call from Jim one day, and I'll never forget it. He said, "Nice to meet you, Tom." He said, "Listen," he said, I own a company called Diamond Certified, and I want to do something." He said, "I want to make you an offer." And I said, "What's that?" And he said, "Well, one of two scenarios." He said, "I want to hire you, and I'm in negotiations to buy a web design company. I want to buy a web design company, and I want you to run it." And I said, "You do? You want me to run a web design company?" Yeah. I want you to run a web design company." And he said, "And if the deal doesn't go through on me buying this web design company, I want to build a company around you." And here I am in 1998. I don't know how old I was. That would have been almost 20 years ago. I would have been 30, I don't know, 36 years old. He said, "I want to build a company around you." And I said, "Okay." And I said, "Well, what's my job title going to be?" And he said, "Well," he said, "I don't know. We'll come up with something. We'll call you the creative director. You could be the creative director." And I thought, wow, that rolls off the tongue. Nice. The creative director. And that's the first time I ever heard of the term creative director. And I guess it's very common in the business world, creative directors. And anyway, so that was so I ended up flying back to California to meet him. And we sat down in this restaurant, and I had to sign this non-disclosure because he was going to tell me the company that he was going to buy. So he pulls out this contract, and I have to sign this non-disclosure. And when I was done signing, he started to give me the details of this job, or the company he was going to buy. And the company's name was called NuDesign, NuDesign, out of Santa Rosa. I don't know if they're still open or not, but NuDesign. And right away, I couldn't believe it. When he told me NuDesign, open up the window just a little bit. When he told me NuDesign, that was the very same company that I had interviewed for. It was a company of probably 15, 20 people. And before I had left for Budapest, a year or two before I met Jim Stein, I had interviewed for a job there, just to do websites. And the guy that owned the company pretty much laughed me out of his office. He laughed me out of his office because I was using a Microsoft program called Microsoft FrontPage to code websites. And here I was 2 years later, sitting in a Baker Square restaurant, signing a non-disclosure agreement. So I couldn't tell anybody that I was going to become the creative director of a company that had turned me down. They not only turned me down, but they pretty much laughed me out of their office. But anyway, long story short, with that whole story, at the time I was probably making about 50,000 a year, 60,000 a year. And I asked him, I said, "What's it going to pay?" He said, "Well, this will pay you. We'll start you out at 72. We'll start you out at 72 and we'll give you bonuses and incentives." I said, "Really?" I said, "Okay." I said, "And I'll be responsible for everybody?" And he said, "Yeah." And then he said, And I said, and I'll be driving all over the San Francisco Bay Area and morning traffic and rush hour and all that kind of stuff. He said, yeah, probably. You'll probably be doing a lot of driving. And I said, can I do a morning talk show? And he said, what? He said, no, no, but anyway, you know, I said, I'll think about it. And you know what? Probably one of the better decisions I made in my life, not to take him up on that job. I turned him down, and he wasn't too happy, to be quite honest with you. I don't know if he was disappointed because, you know, he had bought me a piece of apple pie and a lunch at Baker Square and didn't get anything out of it. You know, I don't know. But anyway, so when I was thinking of painting this wall behind me, when I was thinking of painting this wall, and I wanted to have the creative aspect in the office. So the gold or the yellow came out quite nice. But anyway, so the weekend, I spent the weekend. I came up here and my intent was to paint the walls in my three rooms upstairs, and I had already done the accent wall in two of the rooms, and my goal was just to paint the walls up here. And then I got up and I started looking at the baseboards, and I'm thinking, these baseboards look like crap. You know, I thought these baseboards look terrible. So I spent the weekend and I primed the baseboards and I painted the baseboards just a beautiful white, and everything came out really nice. So I do see a light at the end of the tunnel. But anyway, another thing. Have I said this video? I don't think I have. Another thing that I found interesting was that as I was setting up this room, my office, I got my box of all my little mementos, if you will, from various places I've traveled. And my mind went back to a very special place called Berg Bernstein, Berg Bernstein, Berg Bernstein. Berg Bernstein is a castle. It's a castle just south of Vienna, and it was one of 13 castles in a fortress of defense back in the day when salt was all the rave. You know, Salzburg, I think is the German name for salt. But there were salt mines in Salzburg, and Berg Bernstein was one of the 13 castles that formed this defense. And when I was traveling Europe, I was being passed around. I was being passed around by all these hotel chains, Relais Chateau, Romantic Hotels, romantic hotels. All these hotels were passing me around from one to the other. The managers or the owners would call one and another and say, "You got to have this guy Tom Hall come visit you. He'll take pictures. He'll do all kinds of stuff for you." And anyway, so Berg Bernstein, I'll never forget the very first day I walked in. I've been there several times. And when you walk into Berg Bernstein, you go into the main entry, and there's this grand staircase. And all up this grand staircase are these just magnificent coat of arms, just all the way up as you go up the staircase. And I got to the top of the staircase. I don't know if it was staircase, whatever. I got to the top, the second floor, and I'm walking down the hallway to my room with the owner of the castle. And we walked past this room. It wasn't a very big room, but it was roped off. There was like a rope in the door. The door was open and there was a rope. And I looked in and I said, "What's this?" I said, What's with this room?" And she said, "Did you ever see the movie The English Patient?" I said, "As a matter of fact, I did. It was pretty good." And she said, "Well, this was his room." I said, "Whose room?" "Well, this was the room of the English Patient." She said, "That was based on a real life of a man. That was my my great uncle or my uncle or something like that. His name was Almsay, Almsay, believe, Almsay. And it was his room, just the way he had left it when he went to Africa. And every time I stayed at Berg Bernstein and I'd walk past that room, I'd look in and it was just the way he left it. The room was just the way he left it. And as I was going about my morning today and I'm setting up my office, I found myself thinking, if God forbid something were to happen to me and they were to rope off my room, what would my room tell people about me? What would your room tell people about you? If people were to walk into your house right now, what would they see? Would it be of any significance? Would they do a second look? Would they look at the stuff and just say, yeah, okay, let's just, goodwill, throw away, goodwill. Or would they pause for a moment? Would they pause for a moment and look at your home, at your room, if you had a room, what would your room say about you? And, that was going through my mind this morning as I was setting up my office. What would my room say about me? And with that in mind, let me turn the camera around. So here is my room for all intent and purpose. I'll try to get the camera. So this is my room here. You see the color just came out really nice. Yeah, I can turn this center light. There you go. So the color, I think, just is beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Now the decoration is not done, so go easy on me, okay? The decoration is not done. I know, somebody like Oksana is going to say, what the hell do you have pictures of seashells with a picture of Paris? Okay, so just go easy on me, all right? I'm trying here. So, and then, so as far as what the room would say about me, now there's my dad. It'd probably say that I loved my dad. And I have the little angel that I got from Hulaku in northern Hungary. And then they would come in and they would look at this. They would look at this here and they would say, interesting. They might say interesting. And they would start to look at all the little knickknacks. And one of the things that might catch their eye was this old passport. And this old passport with stamp after stamp after stamp. So many stamps that I had to get an addendum. You see, there's the addendum. It goes from page 20 to letter A. I had to go to the embassy and get an addendum. And the addendum was all full. So they would look at this and they would say, wow, this guy liked to travel. And then they would start to look at some of the places that I've been. Edinburgh, Budapest, Kuala, that must be Australia. And then they'd look and they'd say, wow, look, he even went to Transylvania. I wonder what this is. Boy, that might be from the Great Barrier Reef. Look at that. And they would look at all of this stuff and they would see, oh, look, he did the bridge climb in Sydney. And he went to Guinness. Boy, isn't that in Dublin? And there's Butchered Gardens. Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall. And they would look at all of this and see, some of the places that I love to travel. And then they might come over here and they would see, let your faith be bigger than your fear. Let your faith be bigger than your fear. And they think, well, maybe this guy was somewhat spiritual or religious. And as they came down a little bit further, they would see these little laminated little instructions hanging on the wall. Hold yourself to a higher standard than anyone else expects of you. Never excuse yourself. Never be photographed with a cocktail glass in your hand. And remember, no one makes it alone. Have a grateful heart and be quick to acknowledge those that help you. So that is just some of the stuff, and then of course I see my computer and my Bible. But anyway, interestingly enough, now this here is a piece of vinyl plank flooring that I'm thinking about putting on the floor here. I brought this sample home, and it's a sample that oh, I don't know, it might actually go well in here. You see, so I put the vinyl plank going down. But anyway, so it's still a work in progress, and I will I will get it done. I'll probably get it done just in time for the gentleman that's going to come in and rent my place. But you know, I still have to dial it in. I here is the here is the guest room. You can see. I have to do a little bit of touch up. I need to pick up the drapes. I still need to pick up the drapes and what have you. But all the baseboards were done, and you go into the master bedroom here. Now this room I want to pop. This room here, when it's all said and done, I want this room to really, you know, pop. I need to get a new comforter, and I'm not sure what color to get. Sue Smith told me something blue or something that'll pull out the blue, and I need some new drapes. Got to get some new drapes, and this is the picture that I'm going to put on the wall. I used to have the TV right on this wall, right here. The TV was on this wall, and I took that off over the weekend, and I will put the TV. There's Dad's chair in the corner, but the TV is going to go on this wall right here. So the TV will go on that wall, and then just over here will go a mirror. At least that's the thought. So anyway, that is the tour, and the room's just coming out nice. You see, I had to do all of these baseboards all through the upstairs. I did all of the baseboards in the walls. So that's it. And now it's time to get on with some creativity. Here's a little thing here that I saw some time back, if I can share it with you. I just love this. From the earliest point in time in my life that I can remember, I've wanted to travel, and I see that picture there with that little guy. Looking good, Tommy. You think so? I I hope so. But anyway, it is it's a it's been a lot of work, you know, and it's been worth it. I mean, even if I sell the house, you know, even if the work that I did putting into this house helps it sell and helps it sell at a higher cost. I was looking at, you know, I would want to take like 265 for it. But if I could get, you know, 275, you know, 275 to 280, you know, I might even think of selling it, but I'm not going to focus on that too hard. Anyway, that's about it. I had a gentleman last night who's, thank you. I had a gentleman last night. I got the Bose sound bar, and a gentleman, the engineer from Bose, the guy that helped me get the sound bar, uh, he's in town visiting his in-laws. His in-laws are my neighbors, and he came down from Massachusetts. Wonderful man from Poland, and he came over, and he's an engineer for Bose, and I was asking him. He wanted to see he doesn't even have the Bose 700 system, and, and he comes over, And I said, come on, check it out. Check out the, check out the system. So he came over, and let me just go take you downstairs. So his name is Derek. His name is Derek. So Derek came over last night. I'm not sure if I like this right here. Seems like a really nice piece of art to just be sitting in a hallway, but who knows? Maybe it's fine. So Derek came over yesterday. Alexa, stop. So Derek came over yesterday to test he wanted to see the sound system. And I asked him, I said, did you do this sound bar? Are you one of the engineers, that did the sound bar? And he kind of laughed and he said, no. He said, but I can take credit for the bass. He said, I can take credit for this over here. And anyway, so we were, this comes with an IQ, this Bose soundbar comes with like an IQ system or something where you run it through a series of steps, and it detects the configuration of the room and to give you the optimal sound. And interestingly enough, what he was saying was that this material, he said, are you going to watch movies with this down? And I said, yeah. He said, well, this absorbs the sound. He said, this right here will actually absorb the sound. He said, whereas the glass, he said, the glass will bounce, will reflect the sound. He said, so you might want to be conscientious of that. But anyway, so I got a mount, and the sound bar is actually going to be mounted right underneath that TV there. There's just enough space it's going to sit right underneath that TV. And that's the way that's going to be set up. And then I've got the rug coming in this week. And then Oksana actually, Oksana, you've been such a big help to me. Oksana has helped me quite a bit with tips and design considerations. And Oksana sent me a picture of a TV console that's coming in. It's a little bit over 6 feet. It's got a really low profile. It's got four drawers on it, and it's quite stylish. It actually has some LED lights on it, and I think it's gonna sit in there just absolutely beautiful. So anyway, that's about it, folks. I need to get on with my day. I need to get on with my bike ride. I didn't do the whole bike ride this weekend because I've been working up at 4 a.m. and up at 4 and working till 8 or 9 o'clock at night, and I didn't do the whole bike ride thing. So that's what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to go on my bike ride and try to put in about 15 miles and see if we can't do the bike ride. And then, what would the morning thoughts be? Excuse the camera work. What would the morning thoughts be without the Alexa? What's the question of the day?
Good morning. Here is today's question of the day. The topic is literature. It is worth 6 points.
Uh-oh.
The author of the 1862 novel Les Miserables also wrote which other novel? You can choose from A, The Three Musketeers, B, The Phantom of the Opera, C, Cyrano de Bergerac, or D, The Hunchback of Notre Dame.
What is The Hunchback of Notre Dame?
Fantastic. You have earned your 4th literature badge and 6 points. Considered one of the greatest French writers.
Paula, can you imagine that? I got it right. Paula's the bookworm of my channel. So Paula's probably going, yes, Tom, you got it. The Hunchback of Notre Dame. So anyway, all right, folks. I hope everybody out there has a great day. Alexa, what's the weather forecast for Fort Myers today?
I didn't catch that.
Alexa, what's the weather for Fort Myers, Florida?
I didn't catch that. You've earned a bonus question. Would you like to answer it now?
Alexa, stop. No.
Your play streak is at 6 days in a row. Stimulate your brain every day with the question of the day.
Alexa, what's the weather in Fort Myers, Florida?
Currently, in Fort Myers, Florida, it's 54 degrees Fahrenheit with clear
54.
skies and sun. Today, you can expect mostly sunny weather, with a high of 74 degrees and a low of 52 degrees.
Only 74? It's going to be a little cool today. I might have to wear my windbreaker. Alexa, what's the weather in Stanley, Idaho?
In Stanley, Idaho, it's 20 degrees Fahrenheit
20.
with mostly cloudy skies. Today, you can look for snowy weather, with a high of 28 degrees and a low of 6 degrees.
No, I think I'll leave Stanley. I think I'll leave Stanley, Idaho for the summer. I'm going to go back to Stanley. Come hell or high water this summer, I'm going back to Stanley. And speaking of high water, I'm going to learn how to fly fish. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to buy myself a fly fishing rod, and I'm going to stand there in the creek. I'm going to stand there in the creek fly fishing and see if I can't catch myself some trout. Anyway, have a great day, everybody. All right, take good care. Bye bye.